this is the rule of thumb that I gave to my clients. Come back and see me every 5 years or every birth, marriage, death, or divorce in the family. It may be that I don't have to do anything, but when one of those events happens, that's usually an indicator of change.
Welcome. I am super pumped to introduce my guest today and JoJo.
Yep.
So this is going to be a 3-part series. So I really recommend that you stay tuned for the first part, second part, and third. We have a surprise guest for part number 3.
The guest will be even more surprised than we are.
I wanted to introduce my guest today, Uzzell S. Branson IV.
That's me.
He's a senior attorney in RMO LLP's San Diego office. Uzzell brings over a decade of experience in probate litigation. We're going to talk a lot about that. His practice focuses on representing heirs, beneficiaries, fiduciaries, creditors, and other interested parties in litigated probate stories.
I call it dead, dying, and crazy.
Dead, dying, and crazy. To go on, besides litigated probate, contested conservatorships, which we're going to talk at length about, and the one that's really near and dear to my heart in terms of makes me the most angry is financial elder abuse cases.
Yeah.
So prior to RMO LLP, Uzzell headed the trust and estates practice at his previous firm, where his work included litigating probate disputes in state courts throughout California and federal courts in the southern and central districts of California. Beyond litigation, Uzzell also has substantial experience in estate planning and private and trust administration. Uzzell brings that experience in guiding clients through the probate, pre-dispute, litigation, and appellate processes. Welcome to the show.
That was a real mouthful. I should bring you everywhere I go.
That's a lot, but it's a lot to pack in 150 to 200 words, but it's an incredible experience. And wait a second, I have to say, 2025 super lawyer.
Yes, this is the first time I'm not a rising star, because after 10 years, you don't qualify for that anymore. I pulled that 4 or 5 times. And then this year, I'm on the Grand High Exalted Mystic Poobah list of lawyers.
What does that mean?
It's nice because you can't buy your way into it. Super lawyers, it's a Thomson Reuters outfit where they solicit votes and invitations. You nominate different people. You can't nominate yourself. And you're limited to how many people in your own firm you can nominate. So it's, they don't let you, advertise for it or things like that. It's just, who do you think, belongs on this list? And people put in other people's names and certain people rise to the top.
Well, congratulations.
Well, thank you. I blame it entirely on my name.
Okay. So Uzzell, give us the history of Uzzell Branson.
Well, it's French by way of Arkansas. So
French by the way of Arkansas.
There's a small town in Alsace-Lorraine called Uzzell, different spelling, but Captain Uzzell came over with Lafayette's army. He was a naval captain and fought in the war. And
we're talking Revolutionary
War. Yes. And he took as his surname the town he was from. It was not uncommon at the time. And after the war, he was apparently so antisocial that he settled in North Arkansas on purpose. Not exactly a heavily populated area at the time.
After the Revolutionary War?
Yes. In his life.
How did he get there?
Slowly. He it's not an uncommon surname in the Upper South.
Right.
Arkansas, Tennessee, that sort of thing. And
there's Branson, Missouri.
Well, Branson, Missouri, but Uzzell was originally a last name.
Okay.
So his great-great-grand something or other daughter, Annie Uzzell, married Alexander McDuffie Reed Branson, who was between 6'8" and 7 feet tall, depending on the historical record, the smallest of 4 brothers, an itinerant Methodist preacher. And they named their first son Uzzell Singleton Branson. And it stuck. And it, frankly, it has been the best marketing tool I've ever had.
Because it's a conversation.
One, it's a conversation. 2, once people see it, they always remember it. Now, they have no idea how to pronounce it, which does not bother me in the slightest. But it's one of those names where it's so unusual but still recognizable that I still, even at your last networking event, is, oh, you're Uzzell from the listserv. And like, yeah, that's me.
So where did you grow up? Not in Arkansas.
No. My father or my grandfather left Arkansas, moved to Texas, be part of the U.S. Army Air Corps during World War II. My father was born in Dallas. After law school, he came out to Los Angeles, married my mother. I was born in a little town called La Cañada. You know La Cañada?
Of course. I grew up in L.A.
Oh, okay. So yeah, for
La Cañada, Flint Ridge.
La Cañada, Flint Ridge.
I have I don't know if I should tell this. I have a story about that.
Oh, no.
I got married at the Church of the Lighted Window in 81.
Okay.
Yikes. At the merge of that little, the 2 and the 210.
Yeah. I grew up going to St. George's. I grew up on the Flint Ridge side. For those of you who don't want to bother with Google Maps, it's in between Glendale and Pasadena.
Exactly.
And I grew up there. Very comfortable childhood. I went to Flint Ridge Preparatory School. I grew up riding horses and all that, and
what did you do undergrad?
Well, I got into UCSD.
Okay.
I was going to be a scientist.
Okay.
I got in directly into the biotechnical engineering program.
Again, UCSD, University of California, San Diego.
Yep. Just came down here because it's beautiful. My brother also went to UCSD, and so I was somewhat familiar with it. And there's a lot worse places to go to college.
Did you have a view of the ocean from the dorm? Or?
I did not. I was in Revelle College, so we were down at the southernmost dorms. We called them the mud huts. They were the original barracks when it was a Navy base, and so, but it was pretty comfortable living. Unfortunately, I was terrible at hard sciences. I'd been great at it in high school. And, I get to the university and, the first classes I'm doing well, chemistry, and then get into lab.
What, were you partying as well? Or was that
really?
That wasn't part of the prop?
No, I wasn't cool enough to go to parties.
Okay.
It was just, I didn't have a knack for it. I actually got a grant to do research and got into a lab over in the biosciences building, working with Bacillus spores. They're these little spores. They exist naturally in seawater. They don't do very much. They mostly, if you give them manganese, they turn purple. That's it.
Okay.
So it's for bioremediation of contaminated wetlands. The idea is you put this goo in the contaminated wetlands. It absorbs the heavy metals that have contaminated the soil. And then you just filter out the spores. And now the land is cleaner and clean enough to use.
There's a Seinfeld episode about that, but we'll save that for another
day.
There's a Kramer.
Oh, that I don't doubt it. So got this grant, working with these spores. They're supposed to be very hardy. They're supposed to be difficult to kill. I couldn't keep them alive. We thought something was wrong with the spores. We made new spores. Killed them too.
And so this is a team. And you're all
this is just my product.
Oh, just your product.
Yeah, so I would help out in the lab. It was a small grant.
Okay.
To work on this. This was kind of like a feeder into a larger team project. And there's senior scientists who are holding my leash and telling me what to do and make sure I don't pour radioactive goo on the ground and things like that. And
And you're 18, 19.
There was 19 years old at this point. I took it as a subtle hint that the physical sciences were not for me. I worked for a little bit for UCSD police as a CSO, community service officer. We did some crime prevention patrols, escorts, where people would call us up and have us walk them from the library to their car or things like that. Also, because UCSD, like most universities, is an absolute maze. Whenever emergency services need. Oh, sorry, Joe. Are you bored?
And we do have a third guest here.
Yes. And this is Josephine. We call her JoJo. Actually, technically my ex's dog, but I get visitation rights.
And we'll talk about pet trust next episode.
Yeah, we can talk about that. I've definitely written. Oh, yes, good. But when I work with developmentally disabled clients or dementia clients, when it's appropriate, I bring the dog along because she's really friendly. She's very mellow. And frankly, my clients feel a lot more comfortable with an animal there. It calms everyone down and makes it less like a doctor's visit, particularly with developmentally disabled clients. So to put this in context, every time someone files for a conservatorship, the proposed conservatee, the person who can't make decisions for him or herself, gets an attorney appointed to represent that person because court is scary. We're going to take away your legal rights. Well, part of my job is to connect with these clients and explain the process to them in a way that they can more or less understand, depending on their level of capacity. And in order to do that, I've got to be able to get some give and take with them. And
so you're representing the person. And again, we're going to come back to college, UCSD, but you're representing the conservator.
Conservatee. Well,
conservatee.
I represent both, but on the court-appointed panel.
Okay.
This is the conservatee, the person.
The one who's being conserved.
Correct. And a conservatorship is when somebody needs to be appointed to protect this individual. This individual cannot take care of him or herself. And that could mean everything from completely incommunicative and unable to feed or clothe oneself, all the way up to reasonably functional, can take public transportation, but would go with any adult who knows his name, for example. Someone who doesn't understand that strangers do not always mean us well. And so in order to protect this person as an adult who has the legal right to say, no, I want to go with this stranger, that's when conservatorships come into play.
I want to save a lot of that for...
We'll save most of that for the next episode.
But I want to come back and learning more about you. So you're at UCSD. You're thinking, I'm not going to be the scientist, mad scientist.
Scientist was not going to happen. And so I'm working for UCSD police, and I had all the wrong instincts for that. There was no way I was destined for law enforcement.
Okay.
So
college is a great learning tool to find out where you should be going.
Some of us learn more than others. And so in 2004, I went to work for a local trust and estates guy because I applied for the job because he paid $10 an hour, and I thought, maybe I'll try this lawyer thing. And
did you have any? I mean, your family had lawyers in your family.
My father had been a lawyer at this point for 30 plus years.
Oh, okay, so it wasn't totally foreign.
It wasn't completely foreign, but I had no idea what a lawyer did. I mean, my dad would talk about depositions and experts, but mostly, as a punchline over dinner.
He was not an estates and trust.
No, he has never written an estate plan. He was a dyed-in-the-wool trial attorney who then went into bankruptcy litigation and large commercial disputes. So
in downtown Los Angeles,
all over the Ninth Circuit. So he actually he sold the Culver Hotel, foreclosed on it, and then sold it again. So some horsepower.
Yeah. Good for him.
Yeah. He worked for some syndicator and a few other people, office buildings, business parks, things like that. And he had never encouraged me to go into the law. He just kind of, you want to be a scientist? Go forth.
Go for it. Go forth.
Yes, go forth, young man. And I got hired by a local trust and estates attorney, mostly because I knew how to turn on a computer, kind of thing. And
so this is 2000.
Yeah, 2004. Yep. And the more I learned, the more I liked. I started as a part-time undergraduate intern at $10 an hour, and worked my way up. Actually modernized a lot of the office procedures and really enjoyed it. Became the office manager, paralegal, wear many hats. Then decided this was too much fun. I want to do it for real, but I'm too old to be a starving student again. So I go back to law school, or go to law school. So I'm back in school, but I'm working full time. So I'm working 35 hours a week. My boss was very flexible. Let me move my schedule around so I had all my classes either Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday. And then the other 3 days, I worked at the office.
At UCSD?
No, for the lawyer, Jim Watts.
Oh, okay. But I mean, UCSD, you're still at UCSD.
No, I finished taking classes in, I should have graduated in 2004. In 2005, I, finished up all those other, the last outstanding bits and pieces, and then worked for a little bit. And then 2006, I applied and I started in the fall of 2007.
Okay. And that's where?
USD, University of San Diego, here in town.
And if those who don't know that campus, just drive up to the campus, one of those beautiful spaces in the country.
It is truly gorgeous. It's a Catholic university, and they have a very clear master plan. UCSD is very impressive, and no two buildings are alike. It is. I liken it to a Lego city because every building is completely different.
Right.
Where they've got stairwells that go out in the middle of nowhere and come back.
Right. And USD is the opposite.
It is very classic architecture, dark wood paneling. That library is gorgeous.
Yeah, my son's an undergrad of USD.
Okay, so it is.
That's why I'm still working. No, just kidding.
It's a good reason.
No, I'm just kidding, Jason. I'm just kidding.
He's not kidding. He's not kidding at all. But so I'm there
in law school
in the quote unquote night program, which is good. The first year there's evening classes, but then after that they're all throughout the day. And they're with a bunch of other people where second career. Some of them are out of the military. Some of them have families. Just all sorts of people. A lot of them are trying to transition to the full-time program. I was not. I liked law school. I prefer work over school because at school you pay the money and they yell at you. At work they yell at you, but they pay you money. Sounds like a better deal.
Better deal.
So I'm working full time, and I also because I like solving problems. Controversy has never bothered me. Probably evidence of a severe personality defect, but people not getting along, people fighting or wanting to fight or having unusual problems. It's like a puzzle to me. And so I would moonlight during law school writing court papers for trust and estates attorneys.
Oh.
Because as I'm sure but viewers, a lot of them probably don't. The typical law progression is you go to undergrad, maybe you work for a year or two, and then you go to law school, and then you learn all these different things, and then you go into a firm, usually a larger firm, where they rotate you through different departments and they teach you different things, and everybody does a litigation rotation, everyone does a real property rotation, and so on. And the people who end up in trust and estates are the people who do not want to go to court. They do not want to litigate. They want essentially a 9-to-5 job where they're meeting with clients, they're meeting with people, with families, and it's just it's lower pressure. It's not low pressure because it's important stuff.
It's very important stuff.
It's exceedingly important and difficult to do well. But it's a lot less confrontational, a lot less pressure, and a lot fewer of, oh my God, hurry up deadlines. So that's most of the lawyers who get into the trust and estates world. Well, I got into the trust and estates world because I got hired by one by accident.
Oh,
so I like the trust and estates topic, but I'm not shy about litigation or fighting.
Are you one when there's a group and somebody has to make a decision, you just say,
I can.
That's kind of your personality.
I can. It's I used to, as a young man, I definitely did it perhaps more than I should have. But yes, I do not suffer from analysis paralysis, as they say. If it's a situation that requires attention, okay, we can't decide between these two options because they're so similar. That one.
Yeah. Let's move forward.
Yeah. You pick one. And there you are. Joe's investigating the lights.
Hey, buddy. Okay, so we're in the estates and trusts. You go to work for that firm?
Well, so I'm still working full-time for Watts. I'm going to school, and then I'm moonlighting for other trust and estates lawyers. Usually they're
doing
solo
writing.
Yeah, they'll say, hey, I've got this problem. I can't get this accounting squared away.
And how do they find you?
Word of mouth. There's other lawyers that Watts works with. Some of them are through the listserv, which was fairly nascent at the time, but law students got a free membership to the county bar. And
listserv is a way for all the attorneys to communicate with one another.
And there are sections, and that's the nice thing.
Right.
So it's not just all lawyers in San Diego. Here's the family law section, real property, and I chose trust and estates because that's what I was working in.
Okay.
And so, oftentimes, a solo attorney who doesn't have a full-time paralegal will say, hey, I need someone to help me with this.
Gotcha.
And so I got a lot of experience that way doing strange things, things that don't come up every day in the practice that require some homework. And that's kind of how I cut my teeth.
Okay.
And then
were these things that you're writing for more litigation purposes, or because writing the estate plan is one thing, but the people are giving you scenarios of, I've got mom and dad and the children are all fighting story, and then you need to do some research on that.
There's some of that. There were situations where an attorney. There's not enough here to hire a dyed-in-the-wool litigator. So, but how do we solve this problem? Hey, this beneficiary won't cooperate on this topic. What can we do about it? Hey, we've got this business, and there's a business and a piece of real estate, and one person wants one, another person wants another. How do we get through this because they're not agreeing on things? How do we kind of force this forward? A number of them accounting issues where just records were not well entered. And because you're a fiduciary in the trust and estates world, you have to get it right to the penny. And that is harder than it sounds, especially when your record keeping method is a Home Depot bucket by the back door. So it's, okay, how do we go through this? And a lot of it was just client management even. Hey, go here, get these records, bring them here. I will take it from there, but I need
gotcha.
Anyone.
That's very impressive at a young age to be able to, because...
Well, and I wasn't that young. That was the thing. I was in my, late 20s. Now I consider it young, but I consider it young. I wasn't a, 23-year-old fresh undergraduate. I've been working and handling.
So you've seen a little history. Seen
some history and dealt with a number of people of means who weren't always wanting to be very cooperative with procedure.
Gee, what a surprise.
Well, this was back when the federal estate tax exemption was a lot lower. And the AB trust was common. So when one spouse dies, you have to split the estate in two, fund the irrevocable trust. And so I did a ton of these as a paralegal where, okay, what asset, what's the asset profile we want in which trust, work with the financial advisor and the accountant, make sure, get it set up, and then walking the surviving spouse, the grieving widow or widower through, hey, you need to call the financial advisor and do this. You need to record, we need to record these deeds. You need to come in and sign them so we can send them off, do the property tax paperwork and all of that. So it was you had to be very good at dotting I's and crossing T's.
I just want to chime in on that one for a second. If for those that are listening or viewing, if you're one of those that did the AB trust 20, 25 years ago, and it's the dust on your trust document, your notebook is about 3 feet high, please, I beg of you, pull it out. JoJo is paying attention to me.
Yeah.
Pull that trust out and get an update.
So when I was doing planning, this is the rule of thumb that I gave to my clients. Come back and see me every 5 years or every birth, marriage, death, or divorce in the family. It may be that I don't have to do anything, but when one of those events happens, that's usually an indicator of change. And every 5 years, there are all these trusts now that are designed for a federal estate tax regime that ended 15 years ago. And it's just, and estate planning's never high on people's list of things to do. Hey, let's go talk about our death. That sounds like a fantastic way to spend a Thursday afternoon.
Or incapacity.
Oh, yeah. And that's the thing is people are much more comfortable talking about their death than incapacity, even though everyone's going to be incapacitated at least one point in their life, if not several.
Well, Uzzell, let's move forward to, so you go into the estates and trusts.
And I know I keep ruining your outline.
No. I love it because now everybody really gets to understand how, because again, how did you get into this world? You didn't wake up, as a child go into high school, you go, oh, I'm going to be the state, No. So you get into it, you're writing articles, you go to work, you leave the firm you're at.
Yes. So when I was graduating in 2011, the 2008 had happened.
Right.
Nobody was hiring trust and estates lawyers, especially ones in their early 30s. And I didn't really want to do what Watts was a strict planner. He had his master's in taxation, and I took one tax class in law school. I got a B. I did well. It was taught by a visiting professor from Ohio with a concave chest, Harry Potter spectacles, and a stutter.
Oh, my gosh.
One of the best professors I had in law school. He took an incredibly dry, dull topic and made it entertaining. He was a fantastic professor. But the first day I'm watching this guy, I'm going, this is going to be a long semester.
So for all you CPAs watching and listening, you won't have competition on taxes.
No. I do not. I am not a tax attorney. I do not play one on TV. That is not how I work.
Not how you roll.
No, I am tax conversant from from when I was with Watson doing primarily estate planning and estate administration more than anything else. But no, it's consult your tax advisor.
And all of this is not official legal advice.
Nothing that comes out of my mouth is official legal advice unless we've signed an engagement letter. This is
This is a chat.
This is a chat between two people who, for some reason, you want to know about my life, and I'll try and make it. As
So
possible.
we 2012, and really the economy. The things are
not great
rolling.
So I hang out my shingle. Law offices of Uzzell S, Branson IV. I'm doing estate planning, estate administration, and light probate and trust litigation.
And again, episode 2, this is a 3-part episode. We're going to get really pretty, it's going to be exciting for you, but it is going to be some weeds.
There's going to be some colorful stories.
Colorful stories, probates, estates, trusts, conservatorship, and elder abuse.
Yeah.
And so please hang around.
Yeah. Stay tuned once we get past the initial foundation. Kind of put things in context. So I'm doing that for a couple of years, and I'd worked a couple cases with my dad. I remember one of the first cases, in fact, matter number 2, because you have to keep track of all your cases, and I did them by number. Literally, it was the order in which they were opened. And matter number 2 involved a client who had done a reverse split dollar agreement.
We won't even get into that.
Yeah, which is, I still don't understand how they work, but it involved a family limited partnership where there was a limited partnership interest that had been given to a charity. And that charity was defunct. And so there was a related organization that popped up after not being involved. And this was some land that had burned down in the Witch Creek fire. This was not the Hope Diamond. And there was a dispute over who owned what and whether or not these folks were entitled to anything out of this partnership, which had dirt. Just dirt.
Burnt dirt.
And I worked with it with my father, and we got the case dismissed in the first round, and very successful case for us, but it showed me that we could work well together. So after kind of passing cases back and forth for a couple of years, we decided, you know what, let's form a firm. You get some economies of scale, Branson and Branson. It sounds like a firm. Like that's two old white guys.
Do you remember when I met you with Marguerite Lorenz in that conference room about 12, 13 years ago?
I do.
There you go.
I do indeed.
Okay.
And that, my father was still up in LA. His office was in Pasadena. I was down here in San Diego. And one of the big things is, I've always practiced in LA throughout my career. There's more money than there is in San Diego. And it sounds a lot better for me to say, well, we can meet in our Pasadena office rather than my daddy has a conference room I can borrow. So that, we formed a firm. He had his cases, I had mine, we had ours. And we did that for a number of years. And it was a lot of fun. I did about 60 to 70% litigation and controversy work, 30 to 40% estate planning, conventional administrations, uncontested probates, things like that. And then a couple years ago, my father decided that after the 53 years or so of practicing law, he was going to retire.
Well, good for him.
And December 2023, he hung up his spurs. And at that point, I'm a single father. I'm a lawyer with a heavy litigation calendar and a business manager. And people don't get into law because they're good at business. There are easier ways to make more money. And I do not have a knack for business management. I'm okay as lawyers go, but I am not.
Oh, you're a super lawyer.
I'm a super lawyer. But it is not my core competency. Position open.
Well, I just give you kudos for knowing what you're not great at, because most people, there are egos in your profession.
No.
I say that with all true love to all the lawyers that I...
Oh, I say it with deep skepticism and criticism. Are you kidding me? Have you met lawyers? They're terrible. But yeah, I'd stubbed my toe enough times and seen enough lawyers' firms just implode that to understand that this is not my core competency.
Well, we all have watched Suits, so not Suits LA, the original one.
Yeah. You know what the legal show I miss? Boston Legal.
Okay. That's probably on. We can find it. Find it somewhere.
But anyway, so position opened up at RMO, and I had been opposite Scott Ron on a case or two. And
Scott
Ron is the founding partner of RMO. So it's Scott Ron and Sean Muntz. Scott is the founding partner. He is out there. He is trying cases. He's bright and shiny. And Sean Muntz is one of the finest lawyers I have ever met. He's trying cases as well. He's our managing partner. And he, builds all the, legal procedures and things like that. And he's calm and meticulous. So the two of them are a fantastic pair. And they've been buddies since law school. And so this position opened in the San Diego office. They're principally based in LA. The largest office is actually in Orange County over in Costa Mesa. We've got an office in Fresno, an office
Texas,
in Dallas.
Yeah.
Dallas, yep. Going to be finally visiting the Dallas office in November because I've got family out there. So we're going for Thanksgiving.
Not in Arkansas.
Not in Arkansas. No family.
Bring it full circle.
Right. Although, funny story about Arkansas.
Well, okay, funny story. And then we're going to tell everybody to stay tuned because we got the context, we got the background, which is a fantastic story. Thank you. And now we're going to dive into the weeds of what you do on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely. But just to bring it back to where we started with my name.
Lafayette.
So in Blytheville, Arkansas, which was home to Strategic Air Command until they built Cheyenne Mountain. And then once Strategic Air Command left, it's gone. And my great-grandfather was an architect who was responsible for building most of that town. And so his name is on all these buildings. So people will buy these houses or buy these buildings, and I will occasionally get calls or emails. Hey, are you related to Uzzell Branson Jr.? Like, well, Yes.
Yes.
And this one lady had bought this house, this gorgeous house he'd built out there, and came out, took my father and me to lunch, and just had all these questions. And my family didn't do much, so we wrote down what little we did. And, so I made her copies of all these old pictures and blueprints and things like that. And she had found a bunch of blueprints and other things in the Hall of Records down there, and she brought them. So then I circulated among the various family members who keep track of these things. And it's with a name like Uzzell, people find you.
Well, Uzzell and JoJo, thank you for being just a sweetheart. I would love to take you home and meet my dog, VG. With that, we are going to end episode 1 of the 3-part series. Uzzell, this has been fascinating. I love backstories because now when we get into the weeds of what you do, everybody has a better understanding of how you do it, why you do it, and why you do it so well.
Well, and I think sideways, which helps in unusual problems.
And with sideways, we'll have some wine after the whole.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.